Hi everyone, welcome back to another review. I haven't done one of these in a while. The last one I did was of the Super Mario RPG remake, funny enough, and today we're talking about the Thousand Year Door remake. So if you want to check out my Mario RPG one, I'll put a link to that in the description. So I want to give you some context about my relationship with the Paper Mario series. The first Paper Mario game I played was Super Paper Mario, which there is an argument to be made that is the worst one. Even though it might have one of the best stories of the series, the gameplay is so drastically different from the rest of it. The next one I played was Paper Mario for the N64, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite games. Then I played Paper Mario Sticker Star when it came out, and I really didn't like it. I was like 12 when that came out or something like that. I hated it, and then I didn't play any Paper Mario games going forward because as far as I knew, they stuck with the Sticker Star mechanics of battling. I don't know if that's true, but that was my impression. That's why I didn't continue with the series. Now, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door was a game I was very familiar with. I saw Let's Plays of and everything, but had never played myself. I actually owned it for the GameCube version. I got it for $15 and wasn't able to play it because I did not know you needed a GameCube controller and memory card to play it on your Wii. I thought you could just play GameCube games on the Wii with a classic controller or something. So I owned it for a long time, was unable to play it, and was only able to look at the freaking title screen. All these years later, I have finally gotten to play it, and I loved it. It's once again a remake that's got me reconsidering a lot of my thoughts on remakes that I expressed last year in a video, and I'm even thinking about doing a follow-up now because of how much things have changed. But this really taught me something about remakes I didn't realize before, is that they can really point a series in a direction and returning to its roots for the right reasons, like the Paper Mario series, which has been kind of lost over the last 10-15 years of the direction it wanted to go. A remake like this is a great reminder to a series, a great reset, so the development team, all the people involved can remember what the focus of the series is. And after playing this game in its entirety for the first time, it's easy to see, even 20 years later, why this is considered far and wide one of the best GameCube games and one of the best games in the Mario series. The battles are super fun to play, it feels great to move around on the overworld, the gameplay is fantastic, and the next logical step for the gameplay to have taken after the Nintendo 64 game, and that's what makes this game such a great sequel in general. The story's bigger, the gameplay's more refined, the battles are tougher. It feels like a real sequel, even though it does revisit elements of the previous game, but it brings them in new and better ways than they were before, except maybe the cooking, which is pretty much the same. And while all the partners in the N64 game are great, a lot of them feel like they kind of fall out of the story after a while. While these ones, I think, for the most part, there's a couple, but most of them kind of feel like they're always playing a role in the story somehow, and they don't feel like just keys to certain dungeons, they feel like real characters with unique abilities that may be useful at any time. As you can probably tell from this video already, this isn't just going to be a comparison between this and the original game, it's really more of a look at how it holds up, since this was my first time really getting to firsthand experience it by playing it myself. But there is something I want to mention just in direct regard to this being a remake, some people saying it's a remaster, whatever you want to call it, and that's the visuals. While I will say the game looks great, and at many points it does outdo the original, there are certain areas where I'm not huge on these lighting effects they're using. The original game's art direction was like a papercraft meets a cartoon, while this feels more like it's committed to doing the papercraft thing to have all this realistic lighting on it, which I get, but I feel like it makes some areas look like they have a lot less personality than the original game did. But I get it, it's a remake, it's its own thing, they want it to have its own unique identity from the original while still being faithful to the experience of it, so I can understand what they're going for. And I'm a big proponent of remakes having genuine changes, why remake it if you're just going to do it exactly the same, and this was kind of their huge way of really differentiating it from it. And I get it, it still looks good, and the original's always there, so I don't really have a big problem with this or gripe or whatever, but I just wanted to note that it is a difference that did affect the experience a bit for me, because you can see with Hooktail Castle, for example, how it looks much more kind of washed out, while the original had much more of a fortress feel to it because it was allowed to have a bit more personality. I don't want to dwell on this point, I want to make it clear I do think the game is fantastic, but that was one thing about the remake element that was distracting for me for a lot of the experience. but just because it was distracting doesn't mean it was bad. And so many people who are experiencing this game for the very first time, you know, they're not bothered by it at all because as far as they know, that's just what it looks like now. So, I mean, this is much more saying from the point of view of someone who is aware of and has an established relationship with the original. So make of that what you will. And one other point I want to make about this being a remake, this is going to be spoilers, skip to here if you don't want to know. 3, 2, 1. I think the super bosses are great. I really like them and they do offer a lot of great challenge to the game. I thought it was very fun. And the 100% reward being like just this gold badge that makes Mario Gold, I kind of appreciate it. You know, it's a bit underwhelming, but I'm glad that they didn't make the 100% reward something that makes you just go, oh, I could have used this the whole game. This would have been so useful, so you don't feel cheated by it. It would have been nice though if it was something that like affected the gameplay more. It's really just like a trophy reward, which the game is not short on. You get like a trophy for completing everything. You get one for beating the super boss, for completing all the tattles. You get plenty of those, so you know, it would have been nice if it was something that altered how the game played somewhat, because by the time you get the badge, you're already completed with the game. There's nothing left to do, really. But yeah, it's like, it's not another point I want to dwell on too long. It's nice that it doesn't make you feel cheated, but it would have been nice if it did like a little bit more than just an aesthetic change. Despite the game being all polished now in its new 2024 look, I have to say something that does not hold up about the original game design is how much backtracking there is. Every single chapter has you running back and forth constantly, and it's weird because this is the one respect the game feels more restrained than the original was, because it outdoes its predecessor in pretty much every way, but Paper Mario 64 rarely had you running around this much. Now, the game's still fun, don't get me wrong, but it does kind of feel annoying when it's like go here to go here, just to go back where you just were so that you can go back to where you were just a second ago. They added more pipes in the game to cut this down a bit, and they added the warp pipe room as well, which makes quick travel much easier than it was in the original. But it's something I feel could have genuinely been improved upon much more if they weren't, you know, so dedicated to recreating the original, because, you know, this remake's a lot about making the game more accessible rather than trying to actually reinvent it for a new experience of its own. The way I'll put it is that this quote-unquote fix feels more like it's mending the problem than actually fixing it, and that's something I feel like they could have gone a little bit further with. All in all though, I really loved it, and it's great to hear that Nintendo is reportedly considering going back to traditional RPG mechanics for the Mario RPGs, which is just so exciting to hear, and I'm really glad that this has been such a success as it has been. If I had to give this game a rating, I'd probably say it's like an 8 out of 10 probably. Yet another entry in the one of the best Switch games is a remake of a GameCube game series. And that's about all I have to say for this game. Another game I played a while back was Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I never did a video on that, but I feel like it might be a little too late to do a review at this point. Let me know if you guys would like to see that, because I'd still be willing to do it. And let me know if there's any other games or whatever you'd like me to review. Take it easy, and have a good one.